You're listening to a DM podcast.
Welcome to Over the Back Fence. I'm Di Edwards.
I'm Nicola Dale, and we're buddies of nearly 4 decades. And yes, we actually do happen to share a back fence.
We do. We love parties, people, inspirational stories, and honestly, making the most out of life.
So join us as we open our hearts, share our stories, and hear from some of the most inspirational people in the world, and have a laugh along the way.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Hi guys, this episode is brought to you by Air Women, experts in natural hormonal health for women over 40. Bear in mind it's Air spelled E-I-R.
Yeah, their products, they're designed to support energy, which we love.
We love that.
Mood, sleep,
Love that. Love
and
that.
more, helping you feel your best.
Oh, what more could you want?
We want
and
that.
honestly, we actually love them.
Absolutely
We really
love
do.
it.
And look, if you want to get a 20% discount, just use the OTBF20 at checkout for an exclusive back fence listener discount.
eirwomen.com.au. Go get onto it.
Yahoo, and have your best
Woohoo.
life.
Hey, we're back.
We are, funny that.
Well, I hope your morning started better than mine, Dodie. How did
Well,
you
you
start your
know
day?
me. I've always got salty hair and salty eyes, and I sometimes lick my skin to decide the salinity from the water, and I go, it wasn't too bad, I won't need a shower. But yeah, I was just in reflection this morning thinking one of the worst times of my life after my 36-year marriage, the trigger point was being in the water. I was thinking it this morning because we're interviewing someone that water is very, very big part of her world. And I thought it was the ocean that helped me to heal. And 8 o'clock at night, pitch black, and all the elements around me, whether it was tide or wind or powerful surf, I didn't know which way it was going to go, but the ocean sorted out and I walked out, and that was my turning point. And I'm even getting emotional now, but water means the world to me, and that surfaced this morning when I was having a swim.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about our next guest.
Thank you for sharing that, because I'm, as your really close girlfriend, I remember, we've both gone through, with divorces, and you go through different stages of your life and the ups and downs and how you deal with it and healing. And I'll never forget you mentioning that, Diane. I was so upset that you had reached your lowest point of your life, but it was so beautiful that it was, and you were, your parents' home was near that beach as well, and you sort of felt your parents around you. It was like the power of the water or the cleansing of the water or something, but you came out then, and that was a real turning point of your start
Different
of your
person.
whole new person. And so, wowza, you know what, I'm a Melbourne girl, and I'm a bit of a wuss.
I'm always saying, come on, Nicola, come in.
So John's going, go for a swim. I'm going, I've just had my hair
Maybe
done.
not.
Or,
Yeah,
I'll
it's
have
usually a blow dry.
It has to be a really hot day. And look, once I'm in, I love it so much. I'm just so happy by it. So I was just saying, because my morning actually started off, I locked myself out of my apartment, and hey, lucky I had clothes on, but I think your swim
Maybe
beats
you would have
me.
got it open quicker.
But, we are so excited because we've got an Aussie icon at our back fence. And I think she's caught a big wave all the way from Manly to our back fence. So we want to welcome and introduce Layne Beachley, Order of Australia.
Great name,
Yeah,
Beach.
it certainly is.
You owe me $1.
She's a very wealthy woman, Layne.
Yeah. For every time someone says
I knew that. I knew it. You had to
Beach,
say it,
surfer.
right?
Did you change?
Anything.
And one guess how you started your morning, Layne.
Oh, with surf, of course.
Yeah,
yes.
surf. Wow. Well,
Yeah.
she
Didn't lock myself out. I've only been married once, thankfully.
There you go.
I just took my time.
So you didn't, well, it wasn't a turning point moment, was it, for you this morning?
No.
Well,
She
that's
took
kinda
her
nice.
time. I love
took my
that.
time,
Yeah,
yeah.
so
Well,
cool.
I didn't want to go through that twice.
No way.
No, thanks.
Let me tell you.
Well, look, Layne really needs no introduction, but
So then
really,
don't.
But I've got to say a few things, because if I can't brag about Layne, we are so proud of her,
Thank
really. We really are.
Okay,
and
that's
let
enough.
alone, 7-time world surfing champion, married to a rock star.
Indeed.
She is a rock star.
We'll hear all about her
He
from being
is.
adopted, losing a mum, facing significant challenges, and now she's founded the Awake Academy and has got a latest book, The Awake Academy,
Yay.
which is like a tool book.
It's a toolkit.
Seriously,
one's
honestly, I've
autographed.
just devoured it. It's one of those those ones I'll pick up and go through at different
And I'm
times
loving
of
it
my
on
life.
Audible. I'm
So it
loving
is
it.
then it's to know yourself, grow yourselves, live happier, more purposeful lives, and that's what we're all about.
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah,
Purposeful
yeah.
lives.
How you going with that
we
purposeful
are
word?
Purposeful. That's got a bit of a tongue twister there, but we're
Brilliant.
thrilled to have you here.
Welcome.
Thank
Welcome.
you. Thank you,
Yeah,
ladies. Thank you very
yeah.
much. It's wonderful to be here. I did cross 2 bridges to get here, but I got over them. So
Hello.
everything is well.
We appreciate it.
You know, I'm
Wow.
looking at Layne's hair and I'm thinking, the way I swim every day, my hair is just, it's getting longer and longer and more annoying. I like, that is so freaking sensible. And I just said to Layne, are you wearing
Fake tan?
fake tan?
What's the name of the bronzer that you
Yeah.
use?
She's
You know,
so
like, yeah.
brown. It's sickening. All right.
Beautiful
So,
skin.
Thank you. I'm very
Yes,
fortunate
yes.
it's olive.
I'm like,
Otherwise, it would be.
So you started the day with the surf.
I did, yes.
You've been surrounded by water really all your life.
I have, similar to Di. I love to immerse myself in the ocean. I mean, 50% of our blood is salt water, so it's a homecoming for every one of us that has the opportunity and the blessing to be able to dive in the ocean every day. And it holds me, it nurtures me. For me, it's like going back into the womb. It's the place where I feel really connected and calm and relaxed and centered. So I'm very grateful that I have that. That
that's a beautiful
outlet.
thing to say. Connected to the
Isn't it
womb.
connected to the womb?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's you're in fluid, aren't you? Really?
Yeah, but I allow
So-
myself to be held.
Wow, how beautiful!
Yeah.
I'll actually get that image every time I plunge
Yes.
into the ocean now.
Yeah, there was
look-
a surf actually, a swim that they do down at Manly, last year I think, and they asked me to kind of start the race, and I literally said to everyone, allow the ocean to hold you. Because a lot of people go into these races with an immense amount of fear, and a lot of people don't want to enter the ocean because they don't know what lays beneath. If you're allowing fear to prevent you from enjoying life, then you're not living life. Nicola, your fear is not getting your hair wet. That,
What is my fear?
That's
Tell me.
It's
just
concerning.
Yeah, that's a little concerning. Yeah, that's just pure ego. You know,
Right
there's
on, right on.
Address that
nothing
one,
I've
you know.
got for you, in regards-
But it's
other than a
true.
haircut. Maybe.
It is true though, because I say to people, come out the back.
Yeah.
The way, because that's where I'm my happiest.
Yes.
And, oh no, no,
You're
no,
way
no.
more
What
the
do you
waves
think it
it is.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You
the
know, what
fear.
you guys were saying, my fear of going in the water, you know, so it's
Sharks?
just, you know, like,
Well, it's.
yeah,
I mean, the ocean is a wonderful place for control freaks
right,
Correct.
because you
yeah.
have to surrender to a force that's you cannot control. It's way more
Yeah.
powerful than you. So you start to. I guess you start to get in touch with just how, not fragile, but just how small you can be.
You know what? I'm going to get in the water more often and damn the hair. I was
Damn
actually
the
going to have a
hair.
blowout this morning, but I locked myself out, so I had to cancel that appointment.
Well, it looks-
There's so
looks
many.
good.
There's so
Meant to
many
be,
elements
meant
that
to
come
be.
into being though with
Yes.
the water. With surf,
Yeah.
ocean.
Yeah.
So many elements that come into being, and I'm very conscious of that. And I'm not talking about the fish swimming beneath my feet, but wind and how it can change the surf and the tides and how dangerous that can be. And
How old were you when you started swimming?
well, my mum, bless her, she's up there swimming with God in heaven because she believed in God. Mum was one of the first lifeguards on Coogee Beach.
Oh, really?
So as a young girl, we were literally thrown into water.
Well, that's ahead of her time,
Yeah.
really.
Oh,
wasn't
God,
it?
yeah.
You know, wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And she
100%.
produced 8 kids too,
Yeah.
you know, like that.
And
then
all fish, all of us, just
Yeah, right.
mental, like
Phenomenal.
love. No one became
She
a
swam
swimmer.
every day, didn't she?
Every day of her life. And then when we lived in Palm Beach in the corner there, Mum would be serving lunch to 400 people usually. And she would, there was a rip, often tourists.
Yes.
She'd go, oh no, another one. She'd run down. She'd
wow.
run out in the pool, jump
Off-duty?
in, rescue, you know, no fear.
Yeah.
No fear. Come back and continue serving lunch. And I couldn't tell people what she just did because they wouldn't believe me, you know. So,
Yeah, that's your
yeah.
mum.
So
Jan,
sorry,
to
we're
the-
digressing.
No, it's lovely. I'm
we're-
happy to listen to you.
but let's-
We're in the water.
Yeah.
that could happen, but can we start off a bit?
I think we need to dissect our relationship
do
with
some
the ocean.
breaststroke now.
We really
Yeah,
do.
Nicola, we need to get you out the back.
Exactly.
Oh, whoa,
Out the
okay.
back,
Yeah.
Nicola. I'm
Okay, I was
loving
going to say
that.
my first husband was a bit of a surfer, and
I love it. She
you
says
know,
first husband.
Yeah, how many have you been to?
Only one.
Oh, okay.
one.
Just making sure.
You know who coined that phrase? Helen Warren, Mark Warren's wife.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
she
She's-
coined the
she's
phrase.
always said that,
and
but-
I'm just like, I love that.
But you never know, you know,
Well,
how
you
many
never
like
know.
that.
You know, never know if you never
That was a
go.
while ago, but he did try and teach me to surf a bit, and I've got to say my children surf.
Oh, good.
And they were lifeguards, and they're fish as well.
So they have a love of the ocean.
Yeah, and look, hey, I'm a swimmer, and I like to swim and all that stuff.
Yeah,
but I
but as
wanna
long as
back-
your feet are on the sand
Exactly. I wanna
and
go-
your hair's
we got
out of the
Layne.
water.
We want to hear about Layne. Can you go back, if you don't mind, to the, I mean, early days, really. You know, for
Well,
you,
but
you know,
it's
you were
like,
adopted, you were
How many
preemie.
times have you gone back?
I know,
Yeah.
but just
But
not
you know
everyone.
what? It's okay. You know why?
Why?
Because every time you go back, you trigger someone. You heal
Yeah.
by telling your story. You were just on the Imperfects.
Wow.
We
Yeah,
love
yeah,
that body.
yeah.
And look at him. He went, oh my God, when I was 12. Do you remember that? And I was getting lost in his story listening to yours.
Yeah.
So, guys, if you're listening now and
Yeah.
you don't have much time, Layne's story is worth listening to. So come back to the potty, sit down, relax, have a cup of tea and listen.
And
So-
tune into the Imperfects.
Seriously,
So-
yeah. No,
so,
back fence.
so let's go.
We'll go to this one now.
Let's
But
start.
just
Yeah.
a quick story. This morning when I came out of the water, there was an English lady standing at the top of the stairs as I was walking up off the beach at Queenscliff, and she had a mid-length board under her arm. She's like, "Hey, Layne, I listened to your interview on the Imperfects." And I was like, "Oh, good, thank you." And she's like, I just want to let you know because, like your relationship with your mother, I had a really tumultuous relationship with my father, and we lost him a week ago. I was like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. And she's like, well, you know, I actually jumped on the plane and because he lives in London, and I flew home to say goodbye to him.
Oh,
And I said, are you glad you did that? She's like, yeah, I'm really, really glad I did that. And like with your relationship with your mum, it wasn't about reconciling the relationship. It was about just saying that I love you and love is hard and let's end this in a really good place or on a good note. So I'm really grateful that you shared that story on that podcast. And I lost my twin brother a year ago. I lost my dad a week ago. And she told me this story, and I was like, "Wow!" And she goes, "I know you were really vulnerable, and it's a really hard interview to listen to at times, but it was really powerful and really impactful, and it really helped me and changed my life."
But that's you, Layne.
That's
you.
also the power of storytelling.
Absolutely.
It makes us feel less alone.
Absolutely. So let's start. Once upon a time.
There was a little baby girl called
Cute
Layne.
little girl.
I love this.
Who was born Tanya Maris Gardner. That was my name when I was born, to a 17-year-old unwedded Scottish woman who had been raped by somebody that she knew and trusted, and obviously they betrayed that trust. And because she was so young, and her parents were also, I believe, were Catholics, they'd suggested that she wasn't old enough, wise enough, mature enough to keep a child, so they forced her to adopt me at birth. And I was very fortunate in the 70s that was the case. She had a lot of troubles giving birth to me, so she gave birth to me. She was living in Surrey Hills at the time, and I was 6 weeks premature. So subconsciously, I reckon there was a part of me that just didn't want to be in that womb because I didn't feel the love and the joy that you would naturally feel as part of, well, I don't know, I've never given birth. You could tell me.
I was as sick as a dog.
Like, get the hell out of me.
Yeah, me too. On a live television show the whole time.
No, thank you. Yep. So then I spent 6 weeks in a humidity crib and just did the baby thing in there. The machines helped me survive. And then I came out and then was thrust into the beach-loving family with the last name Beachley and became a world champion surfer. Ta-da!
No, you're not going to let you off that lightly.
It's as simple as that, guys.
Bad luck.
You're
You're
not
not getting off
Beachley,
that
and you can be
lightly.
a 7 times world.
Now, so you were
Champion.
adopted.
I was. And then.
But
I'll be able to
but
tell you.
also, then sadly, you lost your mum so young.
Yes,
You were a little girl.
yes. And I was 7. I think I was 7 when Mum died. And she went into hospital for cosmetic surgery and had a brain hemorrhage on the operating table. And so we lost her in the middle of an operation that wasn't really necessary.
You had a bit,
Oh,
actually.
what an absolute
Yeah.
show.
Oh, what a
Oh,
shit show.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that was, really distressing and disturbing and heartbreaking and overwhelming. I know it was harder for my brother, who was 12, and that was a really impactful time for him. So, yeah, it's been I think it's been a much bigger issue for him than it has been for me because I had youth on my side. And I was always an independent child, and my dad was always my rock. I wasn't a real mummy's girl. I was more of a daddy's girl. So I just became more personally, I don't know what the word was, if I reflect back on that period, I became much more independent, if I could have even been more, probably much more strong-willed. I do remember having a lot of nightmares and feeling a lot of sadness, but that wasn't a time when you were really encouraged or even educated on how to process emotions like that. there was no therapy, there was no diagnosis, there was no real support. I don't remember any form of practitioner coming around saying, you know, your kids have lost their mother, let me know if you need any help, kind of thing. It was just Dad had to continue on with work. He got a family friend to come and look after us before and after school, and things just continued on as normal until Dad could to find the space in his schedule to take some time off, and took us to Disneyland and Disney World and Hawaii, and that's where the family was able to perhaps process some of the pain and the trauma. But because our parents are our role models, because and Dad grew up in such a tough love environment at a tough love time, because he didn't process it publicly or openly, then I don't think we were ever given the permission to do so either. So it's really important that if something traumatic happens, that the parent allows themselves to feel it, and then that gives the permission for the children to then feel it as well, because we learn as kids more from what we see than what we hear.
It was also the era of push it under the rug, you'll be fine, darling. Close the door.
Shove it
No,
down.
that word fine I can't stand.
Fine.
Yeah, what does it stand for?
Fucked up, insecure, needy and emotional.
Oh, let's get straight to the point.
I've never heard that one before.
Fucked up,
Insecure, needy and emotional.
needy.
And emotional. That is. How are
Think
you,
about
Jo?
it.
Are you fine?
Well, how
How many
often-
times do I
Ever.
say to people,
I'm fine.
Don't tell me you're
It's
fine.
actually a shocker, isn't it? You know, it really is.
But
Fucking
that is that
annoying.
era.
It masks everything.
And
But
you
that's
know
what
what?
it was.
You know what else annoys me is the word good. I'm good.
Oh, I'm the
Yes,
same.
So I've
What does that
created an
stand
Have a
for?
happy
acronym for
day.
Okay,
that
what's
one.
that one? What's it-
General observations ordinarily dismissed.
Wow.
Ooh,
I have to
that's
let
a
the
good
penny
one.
drop on that one. Wow.
Okay.
Or general observations ordinarily downplayed.
That's good too, isn't
Oh.
it? Sam, have you heard of that? A
I
life
just
coach
made
here?
that
There
up.
you
Okay,
go.
there's a-
Did not.
I did.
Yes, you just did. Yeah, there you go.
Excuse them, wow. I'll go back to fine though, as long as it's got fuck in it.
And back on that too.
It has impact, right?
Yes.
You know, your dad what eventually did remarry. Is
He
that
did.
right?
Yes. So
And-
so classic cliche. Started dating his secretary.
Oh, no.
Fucking man,
that
that was
was
a
not
secretary.
bloody hell, that
Let's just not veer out too far from the arena
yeah.
of my life.
It's funny
Yeah.
that
Good morning,
they make
you know.
chicks at work or something.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
he was a ladies. He did consider
I was a
himself quite the
ladies'
ladies'
man.
man. Yes, absolutely. And so he married his secretary at West End Brewery, and she moved from Adelaide. She was married before, and then she divorced and then moved to Sydney, moved in, shacked up with my dad. She was an immediate threat to my existence because I saw her as being in the way of my
I understand
relationship
that.
with my dad.
Totally.
She was 14, I think. When I'm sorry, I was 14.
I was going to
Fucking
say,
hell.
that's the youngest secretary I've ever heard.
That's outrageous. Yeah, my dad was 30.
Your dad would get in trouble these days.
Half your age plus 7, still not right.
Yeah, no,
so
that's
good.
right, yeah.
So good.
Yeah, so I was 14 when she moved in, and
tricky age.
yeah, it was
Very,
really tricky,
very,
and it's the
yes.
rebellious age at that, you know,
Yes. Yeah.
for the first 10 years of our lives, we're being told how to live it and what our identity is, and then the next 10 years, we're like, get out of my way, parents. Like,
Yeah,
I'm going to
that's
figure
it,
it out.
yes.
I'm
Let
going to
me
be
navigate.
independent, and I'm going
Yeah.
to be rebellious.
At what stage here has Dad's told you that you're adopted?
I was 8.
Oh my God, I didn't realise that.
Yeah, I was 8 years
You were
old.
8 years old.
Yeah, too old.
How long after Mum had passed
So
away?
a year later.
Okay, so what you were still grieving essentially. Mum's
Essentially,
Yes.
But I
passing.
was starting to figure out. Well, I wasn't figuring it out. I was starting to feel that I didn't really belong here, and the deepest
interesting.
burning desire in every human being is to belong.
Oh.
And when we are part of a family unit, we naturally feel that sense of belonging and connection. But there was some misconnection. There was a synapsis. There was a glitch in the matrix that I was going, I don't know if I truly belong here, because my dad was tall, my brother was tall, they were both pasty white and I'm dark olive and I was really short. My dad has kind of sleety blue eyes and I have really bright blue eyes. I'm blonde haired, they're brown haired. So there was a lot of differences, and then kids around the street started asking questions. Why do you look so different to your family? I was like, actually that's a good question. I'd never asked that question, but I was really starting to feel it. Why do I look so different? And that's when Dad sat me down, because the kids were asking questions. I was asking questions. So Dad's like, okay, it's time to have that chat. But I'm 8 years of age
Oh
now.
my God.
Oh, that's so hard. Without the support as well. Like it's
Without the
chat
support,
and
yeah, Mum's gone. Now I
Yes.
don't belong to this family unit. Where the
you
fuck
want to
do
give you
I
a hug
belong?
now.
Yeah, now what do? I know if I become a world champion, everyone will love me. And that's
Wow.
That
where
is so
it all-
random.
I know.
I had to sit with that for days when I read that.
I
about
set
you.
that goal and went,
I'll be a world champion at something,
Yeah.
and then everyone will love me. Just try and digest that, listeners. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty profound.
Was it at that young age? When did you really? So it's amazing that
But I didn't decide
gave
surfing.
you fire in your belly as well to do that because it's
Yeah.
very young, isn't it?
It is it's very young,
Absolutely.
but your brain waves have shifted from after 6 years of age. In the first 5-6 years, we're just narcissists, right? Everything's everything's happening to me. And then when we hit that next phase of our brain development, we go from being narcissists to judges. And our brains now have the capacity to judge, criticize, analyze, wrap stories around things, create meanings. We're starting to build biases. And at that age, I went from listening to what my dad was saying to tuning out of that and listening to what I was saying to myself, because the fear was outweighing the love. And fear is actually normal for all of us because it's more familiar. So it actually has a greater power over us than love can, unless we tap into it and connect with it and go, oh, I'm in fear. Okay.
Love that.
All right, time to shift it. We can't change what we can't see. So I was unable to see the pain and the fear that I was feeling. I was just feeling it going, I don't like this feeling. I don't like feeling like I don't belong here. So how am I going to prove to him and the whole world around me that I belong here? I have to become the best in the world at something. You'd find that the biggest success stories and the biggest misfits of society have all come through some level of trauma. It's just how they've chosen to channel it. And I chose to channel it through the pathway of sport and channel it into becoming a world champion. Had I known then what I know now, I know I would have done it very differently. But I didn't realise my sense of self-worth.
In what sense?
Well, I didn't realise my sense of self-worth and identity was wrapped up in the desire and the belief that I didn't belong. So when I achieved success, I was successful, but when I failed, I was a failure. So I was always in this shame and guilt cycle.
Like a heartbeat. Bang,
yeah,
bang,
yeah,
bang,
yeah,
bang.
exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, so that made my journey really challenging and quite a roller coaster ride. So it was an emotional roller coaster as well as a physical roller coaster. And because I was unable to connect or understand that, we judge what we don't understand and we fear what we don't know. So I just judged myself as being unworthy. Or when I was failing, I would judge myself as being useless, pathetic, dumb, stupid. Like everything outside of me was dictating how I felt about myself. And until I did the work to realise that to feel good about my world, I need to feel good about myself first. But if we're constantly relying on external circumstances to dictate our quality of lives to us, then we're never going to feel good enough, no matter what we do.
You know, you use the word
Big lessons
shattered
there.
a lot in the book.
what word?
Shattered.
Shattered.
And it really got me, that word,
Really?
because I think I got the image of dropping a bottle and
Oh, yeah.
pieces, shards of glass smashing everywhere. It was the sound, it was the result of that. Someone could get injured and hurt from it. Would you say you were shattered when your dad told you were adopted?
It shattered my sense of self, which is, I think,
Okay.
how I
Was
explained
that
it
the
in the book.
starting point, would you say, to be driven to, like, right, I'm going to be world champion something, just for everyone to love me? Was that shattered? Like,
Yeah.
can you break down shattered for me? Because it's like, it grates. It's like chalk on a board for me, that word.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
I like the analogy or the metaphor that you use of dropping a bottle of glass and that
Yeah.
just shattering into a million pieces. That's how I felt. I felt
that's a good
my
one.
my whole world shattered into a million pieces. I felt so strong and so connected. And then the minute he said you're adopted, I felt so fragile all of a sudden. And it was almost like he just dropped my whole world, and it just shattered into
You were
a
the
million
bottle.
pieces. And I was the world.
God,
He just
bang.
or dropped my heart, or dropped my sense of sense of everything. Just shattered into a million pieces. And so that's why I thought,
What a double blow.
what am I
mean,
going to do
you know,
with this? I need to
Yeah.
do something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and a year earlier you only lost your mum.
Yeah.
And then you get that. So it's hard enough, I think, for anybody who's adopted, but when you've had that sort of experience there, Layne, and then
Yeah,
just
yeah.
and when
Sticking
you're sort of
pieces
saying-
together.
But also, with you, and then you're sort of saying it was a hard age of 14 and your dad remarried, whatever, and then you moved on. Then was that correct that when you did actually move out at one stage, then you actually asked to come back home, your stepmum said no?
Yeah. which was
So,
another
I mean,
shattering
were you
moment.
shattered?
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
Bang
I had
goes
to
the
I
bottle.
had to reread
Yeah.
that to
But you
go,
know
I
what's
can't believe
different
that's
bottle,
true.
though?
Who would do that?
It's what's really interesting now is when I reflect back on those shattering
Yes.
moments.
Yeah.
They weren't. In the moment, I defined them as shatters.
Yes.
But they were actually really big awakenings.
Of course.
When when Christina said no, and Dad supported
This
that
is no to
decision,
coming back
no
to live
coming
in
home.
the house. Yeah.
And I mean, I primarily the whole reason I moved out
That's
is
another
because
rejection.
it was a
Bitch.
massive rejection.
Sorry, I shouldn't say that, but I was so angry when I heard
Bitch.
that. Sorry. Sometimes I'll throw a little.
The
Personal-
That
that
was
will come
my
out with
first
her.
thought. It's your book, and that's how I felt.
Thank you.
You don't get the wrong side of Jodie.
I know, I was
I
angry.
love how people want to defend and
I
support.
know,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. She
So
said no.
when she said no, yeah, that was another moment. I was like, oh fuck, now I'm really out. I'm really alone here.
Oh.
Yeah, and because I always saw Dad as that stronghold, that connection, that consistency, that consistent anchor and pillar. And so when I felt like that rope got cut. I was like, oh, God, now I'm really going to have to figure this out. And that's when my personal trainer's wife, who I think was sick of having me squat in their back bedroom, was like,
Yeah.
how about you buy something? I was
Yeah.
like, what? I
Hint,
never-
hint, nudge, nudge. Say no
Okay,
more.
get the fuck out of here, will you? Have you got any cash?
Soft on the
But a
head.
good
Ow.
tip to say buy as well, back
Yeah.
then, to put that seed in your mind.
And
Yes.
that was a really
Yeah, true.
It was a really influential, impactful moment because the seed had never been planted like that before. I mean, it was the great Australian dream back in those
Absolutely.
days, the 70s and the 80s,
Yeah.
to be able to own your own home. But at
Not
those
now.
those days also they had
Yeah.
they had interest payments of 17, 18, 20%.
We remember that. When it
Insane.
Too well.
I know,
Fortunately,
yes.
I was buying in the mid-90s.
Mm.
And when I suggested to one of my best girlfriends, hey, I'm going to buy a place, she's like, are you out of your mind?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, why? Why would you consider doing that? I said, well, because I really have to. Now it's out of necessity.
Wow.
And that's when I found that I had all that cash underneath the house at Dad's place. And
Is that what, from winnings, from surfing?
yeah,
Are you
so I
kidding
squirreled,
me?
I
Wow.
squirreled away. So we
didn't
were
put it in the
paid.
bank?
No, because we were paid in
Amazing.
traveller's checks in US dollars.
Wow, that's back in the day,
American
guys.
Express
Bless
travelers
Dad, bless
check.
Dad
Wow.
for doing that. He didn't spend it. Oh, she's my daughter. I'll just spend a bit.
Well, he
that was
didn't
your
know.
little nest egg.
So Dad used to give me $2 a day for play lunch or lunch at school.
That was a lot in those days.
It was in the 80s.
Yeah, yeah.
And I would bring home $1 every time. So I squirreled away. I was very good at squirreling away
Wow,
money.
good girl.
And I always saved it. And I'd have this intention. Okay, I'm saving for this. And by the time I could afford it, I didn't want it anymore. So I had compounding
Oh,
interest.
Hold on.
You did.
By the
That's
time you
interesting.
could afford it, you didn't want it anymore.
Because you'd achieved it, was it?
Well, no, it's just that it was
It moved
onto the
on.
new thing, onto the
Yes,
next thing.
Okay.
Wow.
And so there were,
Never
the
heard that.
latest skateboard had come out. I was like, oh, I really want to buy that.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, save up. And then I'd save up. I'm like, actually, I don't want that skateboard. I like my old skateboard. I don't need that new
Wow.
one. So I kept getting this compounding interest on my coins and my savings. So I would go into my room and pile up on my $1 coins, piles and piles of them. It would infuriate my brother. And so when it came to going under the house, which Dad didn't even know I had that little box of US traveller's checks under the house.
Okay, but he was putting other money under the house. No, that was you
just
squirreling.
me,
I
just
thought
me.
Lane's been
Dad put it
independent
there.
From the
No,
start.
Dad left his money in Hong Kong or somewhere else.
Okay, so you went back to Dad's house and
Yeah, that's where I
That
was
was a way.
squirrel
So
it.
that was for the
Because-
second wife wouldn't see it.
Yeah, and also
Wow,
because I was
yeah, what
moving.
spot on.
I was moving around a lot.
Yeah, of
because
course.
I was renting.
And that was safe.
I was renting at Tom Carroll's place, or I was renting or house sitting for a guy who'd gone overseas, and then he'd come back. So then I was renting with a mate in Mona Vale, and then he moved off to Bali. So then I ended up in my personal trainer's place. So I moved quite a bit. Fortunately, the amount of material items that I possessed fit in the back of my car.
Wow.
So I didn't have too much to move other than a whole bunch of surfboards, but they sat on the roof. So
yeah,
that
of course,
was, yeah.
piled up.
So when it came to buying my own unit, firstly, I had to recognise, well, how much money have I got? So then that will set the budget. Secondly, who was going to lend a surfer money?
True. What do you do for a living, Miss? Missy?
Missy, unemployed are out there surfing.
Yeah.
Get a
I
job.
surf.
I surf
And
for
you're a
living.
woman.
Yeah.
Honestly, you're a woman.
Have you won
surfing.
anything? A few events. Do
Just a
you
few.
do you have any income security? No. Do you have a sponsor? No. How much do you earn a year? 20 grand.
I love it.
So how much are you
And
looking
your
for?
point is,
You might need to go next door.
exactly. Oh my
So
God.
I rang. I've been very resourceful.
Who's the
over-
bank we're going to give the big tick for? Who backed you?
Westpac.
There you go, Westpac.
we
Well
go.
done.
And I'm
Yep,
still
well
with
done.
them.
Good. I love that
Hey, that's
story.
loyalty.
That is
isn't it?
loyalty.
Yeah,
Just sort of-
yeah.
I was one of those Commonwealth Bank Dolomite kids.
Yes, yeah.
Ditto.
Remember the little yellow?
I used to have
yeah,
that
the
too.
little book.
With the coins.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there was a dinosaur
Except
one
don't
too.
cut it
Piggy.
open to get the money out.
Of course you did.
Just what it made.
Rip,
They would have
rip.
all been putting their
So
hands
angry.
in the
It
jar,
took
I
me
reckon.
hours.
Wow.
Oh, and then remember Dad.
Anything to get the cash out.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, I had about 18,000 US cash, all travellers checks,
a lot.
and the exchange rate at the time was around 52 cents. So I had
Wow.
$36,000.
Bingo.
Wow.
And so then that set me a budget of find an apartment. You're never going to get into the property market in a property that you will love forever. Just get your foot in the door
Absolutely.
somewhere.
My dad's,
Yeah,
that's
yes.
my dad to a T.
So I bought in the Bronx of the Northern Beaches at the time. DY.
They used to say the best thing about DY is driving through.
Yeah. That's if you can get through it.
All our DY listeners, we love it. It's certainly come on.
It's
on
come a
these
long
days,
way.
hasn't
It's
it?
come a long way.
Great restaurants on the beach there.
Yeah.
at
Oh, no,
DY,
it's
so,
it's luxe these
DY,
days, yeah.
So I lived about 500 metres from the beach on Pacific Parade in a unit block that I believe only had about 8 or 10 units in it. So it was a really small block. And it had a double lock-up garage, 2 bedrooms, bathroom, the kitchen needed some work. And it was $180,000
Wow.
with a little balcony as well.
What
I
a
was like,
dream.
yep,
Could you
that'll
see
do.
the water from the...
God, no.
You couldn't
I
tilt
could
your
barely,
head?
no.
You
I had
see
to
it
buy a
down there.
bike so I could get to and from the beach.
Wow, how fabulous.
And,
Your
yeah.
boards and your bikes.
And I had a
and-
double lock-up garage, so I could just fit all my boards and my bike and my board bags and my wetsuits. That was kind of like the boardroom. And
I love that. I've never heard that
Boardroom,
term.
That's a good one.
It's a beauty.
I saw
It
a
was
picture.
a
I saw a
That's
picture
cool.
you put on Instagram just the other day of your
my
car,
boards in the car,
and
yeah.
if you should see it, guys. There when you look up Layne's one, the whole boot of the car. So they had to
Is
figure. I
boarding-
don't know how many,
the
how many
boardroom.
boards would have been in there.
4,552.
there was around 20-something boards
Seriously?
in there, I think.
They
That-
all look pretty. you
That
know.
well, I cleaned them. I
Oh,
cleaned,
did you?
yeah.
Okay,
So
they did.
when Kirk and I bought a house together, we had a criteria, and we looked at houses for years to find the right place. We were really specific about what we were looking for, and the house had to have room for my surfboard, or some of my surfboards. I have over 100 boards.
Wow.
So
I would hope so.
yeah, I had some of my
Yeah.
boards. And I think we settled on that I would be allowed to have maybe 10 or 12 boards. And I thought, okay, that's enough, because I tend to use about 10 boards throughout a year, maybe a couple more, because you need a different board for different conditions for all you non-surfers. And every person out there that has more than 5 boards, they're going to be very validated through this conversation.
That always got me.
That's so
my,
good.
as I said, my first husband.
still
No, why
on
you
the
kept on wanting
boardroom.
to get new boards
Yeah,
all the
you
time,
need new
know.
boards. And
Imagine
if
the real
there's...
estate agent, I need a room for my boardroom. Oh, well, there's room for a computer there.
No, that's not going to fit. Yeah.
The boardroom.
I need the boardroom.
Won't cut
Anyway, when Kirk has now bought, we're both into e-biking, and Kirk's in his 60s, and e-bikes are just the best for people as they're getting older because it keeps them fit and strong and active, and he loves his e-bike. But it's quite a big bike, and he's like, okay, you've got to get rid of some of those boards because I need room for
that's a
my
biggie.
e-bike, and we need room for our bikes, and there's just your surf stuff is taking over the garage. I was like,
You
well,
know who you married.
yeah, I was
Exactly.
like, well,
Marriage
duh.
dilemma. I love it.
And I said, what about your stuff? He's like, okay, tell me, what my stuff? I was like, what about all that wine? Come on. What about that beer?
There's some shirts
What about
over there.
guitars and
Your
you know?
undies.
Guitars aren't there. So I was instructed to clear out some of the boards, and so I cleared out, I think there was about 36 boards in the garage, and now there's 10 left. So yeah, there's 16 boards in the back of the car.
I just want to take you back to,
We're going back again.
as Nicholas said in the intro, seven
Good, I want
times.
to go. Still got something I want to go back
Seven
to
times
as well.
world champion female bloody surfer. I mean, it's just remarkable when you think
Thank you.
about it. But I want to take you back to the drive behind that success.
Fear.
Fear, but also about, which I was reading about, proving something that about your self-worth, about people will love me if I succeed. So tell me about that, as in, when did that begin, and was it a driving force? And because a lot of people I've met in my life that are successful, as you were saying earlier on, that coming from meagre beginnings or trauma, it can drive them, but it's how you manage that is the secret. When did that start, where you recognise that in the surf and go, oh, this is... people will love me today because I won, rather than do you love you?
Yeah, the realisation of that particular fear didn't occur until after I won my 6th consecutive world title.
Really? That's interesting.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
But all of that time, though, you were looking at people going, oh, you'll like me because...
No.
And or people called you're as compassionate as a tiger shark.
Correct.
So there was this Layne Beachley that was over here running my own race, and everything around you was not, it was all disassociated. It was just...
Yeah, well, I disassociated myself.
Right.
Yeah, so I was living an unconscious fear, and I was allowing that fear to govern me and drive my choices and drive my decisions and drive my behaviours. And it's interesting, doing the work that I do now with Awake Academy, and we put corporates through workshops, and individuals we host public workshops as well. Putting them through this material helps people connect with that aspect of themselves. A lot of people want to choose, whether it's a conscious or a subconscious thing, they choose to remain detached because it's familiar, and familiarity creates that comfort. Now I'm comfortable, I'm in control, so when I'm in control, I then get to choose. But what you're choosing is prolonged pain and suffering, because you're not being true to yourself. You're not honouring your emotions. You're not honouring your pain, your trauma, your suffering, your struggles. You're not honouring the fact that your relationships are failing, your health is deteriorating, work is just all-consuming. If that's how you want to live, and that's a sustainable model, then go for it. But from my observation, that's unsustainable. And that's how I was living and succeeding through a lens of win at all cost mentality. Must succeed at all costs, because every ounce of my self-worth and identity is wrapped up in that success. If I don't achieve that, I'm not going to be worthy of love. I don't give a fuck what anyone else thinks. If I don't achieve that, that's my story, that's my judgment, that's my fear. I didn't have the mentality of paddling out going, everyone's loving me today because I'm surfing really well. Actually, when I won, everyone hated me more.
Wow.
Especially my peers. Because I was now a consistent threat. No one saw me as a threat in the early days because I was super inconsistent. Because one day I was up, the next day I was down. And our mental state it represents our physical state. So if we're performing inconsistently, it means we've got an inconsistent mental state. And I was super inconsistent because one day I felt good, but that was because the conditions of my life were determining the decisions of my life. So if the conditions are good, then I feel good. And that's about all this OCD behaviour, right? Everyone's trying to make things outside of themselves. As long as everything outside of me is in order, I'm in order. But the minute something outside of me is out of order, now I have to address what is inside of me is out of order. And I don't want to do that. So let's just keep everything out here, clean, in order, everything's cool?
So interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, now I don't have to address what's going on inside me. Just keep all that out.
An illusion.
And so what was
It is an
with
illusion.
your 6th time that you've won?
Yeah.
And then what was the realisation point? for
Well, one
you,
of my
Layne?
friends said, what's driving you? Do you think it's because you're adopted?
Oh, stop. Wow.
Yeah, I was like,
Wait a
whoa.
minute, good friend?
That's
Was that a good-
huge. That was
still
that
a good
was the
friend.
turn-
No, I mean,
was
I-
that the
That was
love that-
another,
I
that
love
was
that
another
person.
shattering awakening.
And
Wow.
so how did you
What
go
a
from there? How did
statement.
you respond to that? What was your actions you
Whoa.
took?
It felt like someone put a stake through my heart.
Oh, my God.
And I went,
And how old are you at this stage?
31.
31.
Yeah. And I just
Wow.
went,
Bubble burst.
you're right. Yeah, it is. It is because I'm adopted. And then I
This person
I
knew
rewound
you.
to that
Yes.
8-year-old girl sitting on the couch feeling like Alice in Wonderland, getting smaller and smaller as the couch gets bigger and bigger,
Goosebumps.
thinking, oh shit, I need to win. Oh shit, I need to become the best in the world, because if I don't, then I'll never be worthy of love. I didn't realise that success to me wasn't just becoming a world champion, it was becoming the most successful surfer in history.
Nice.
Kelly Slater had won 5 in a row. I went, I have to beat Kelly Slater. The only way that I'm going to be worthy of love is I've become a 6 times consecutive world champion, because no one's done that in history.
But you did, didn't you?
I know. So then
Yeah.
I got
So
there, and
she
I
did,
still
yeah.
wasn't good enough until
Right.
someone said,
Said
"Hey,
that.
are you enough yet? What's driving you?
my God.
You're adopted." Oh,
Is
That's a really good
Is that
mate of
when you
yours
seek
said that.
support, or seeing somebody, or is that? Tell us about that. Like that hit you, you're shattered.
Yeah.
And did you get help
Oh
from
my
at that
God.
point, or you?
yeah. Did I get help at that
Or-
point? Yes. Look, I've always
Awareness.
Yes.
It was awareness, a
Aware-
starting
awareness,
point,
yes,
right?
starting point of awareness,
That's number
it's
one.
true.
And the
yeah.
thing was is that I had the first rebirthing that I mentioned in the book, the
Yeah.
first breathing process that I went through was in 1997, which is the year before I won my first world title.
Okay, I was wondering that.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Now that's interesting.
And then
Wow.
when I met Kirk in 2002, and he was part of my dream team when I won in 2003, his best mate, Michael, and his wife, Victoria, are naturopaths and rebirthing practitioners. So we were
fortunate.
continuously doing the
Yes.
work with them. So he was not only supporting me with nutrition and Chinese medicine and herbs, but also supporting my emotional state through, these breathing techniques and just having the safety and the sanctity to be able to speak openly and freely and being able to share these stories or these concerns and to be able to have someone to help me make sense of them. So that was really powerful.
Tell us about the LSD.
The long, slow, deep breathing.
I love that. It's box
It's a good
breathing,
one.
right?
Well,
Well,
long, slow,
yeah.
deep breathing is
Yeah.
essentially box
Did
breathing.
you know where we were going with that? Sad.
There was a bit of a shock.
Caught me off guard there for a
Yeah, I know.
I like that.
Even Layne
Were
was
you with
going,
me last
I know.
weekend?
Exactly.
Said LSD.
Exactly.
I was
love
actually
it.
rather healthy. Actually.
Yeah, hanging out with a rock star.
Yeah, right on. I love
That's
it.
true. Don't
And
ask it
it's-
too many questions going there, Jodie.
I love it. Long, slow breathing.
Long, slow, deep breathing.
It's
not LSB, it's LSD.
LSB.
Yeah, long,
And that
slow.
was powerful for you.
Yes, and that's been, it still is a
Yeah.
powerful ally in my toolkit of self-care. When I lose control of my breath or lose control of my thoughts and my emotions, the breath is the current that connects the mind and the body. So when we're stressed, we breathe very shallow, sharp, deep, short breathing. It's like, and then wonder why our thoughts start speeding up because our breath is speeding up. If we want to slow our thoughts down, we need to slow our exhale down. It's the exhale that creates the calming
didn't know
effect.
that. I thought
It's
it
the
was both.
exhale that
Yeah.
activates the parasympathetic nervous
I
system.
exhaled this morning when I got
Yeah.
I told my
Did you
girlfriend
scream?
this morning.
Yeah, exactly.
I,
You know,
I
she's
said
a-
to Nicola, I said,
overall
you
looking-
need to breathe.
Yeah.
So I woke up just so full
That's
of being
'cause I know her so
excited.
well.
Yeah,
But
Exactly.
telling someone they need to breathe that's upset is telling someone who's
Well, she wasn't
emotionally out
upset.
of
No,
control.
she was
to calm
speedy.
down.
Better word. Can you actually just now
She
with our
just
listeners?
reframed it.
Can we go through the box breath?
Sure.
Yeah,
Can you,
please.
can you lead the way?
Of course I
Yes.
can.
We feel
I love
honoured.
this. Yeah.
Okay, so a box breathing technique is essentially what it sounds like. It's a controlled breath in the shape of a box. So you inhale for 4 seconds, you hold your breath for 4 seconds, you exhale for 4 seconds, and you hold your breath for 4 seconds. So
Can you do it with us? Let's
yeah,
do
I'm
it
going to.
together.
So while you're doing it, I just want you. Okay, so everyone, for those of you that aren't driving
Yes, yeah.
or operating heavy machinery,
Yeah, more to the point.
just sit comfortably. Allow yourself to uncross your hands and uncross your legs, uncross your arms, uncross your eyes.
Mine are usually crossed.
Just sit
Mine's
comfortably
bloodshot.
Yeah.
with your feet flat on the floor. You can put your hands on your lap, allow them to rest gently, or you can actually put them at the base of your belly button, like just underneath your belly
I
button.
love that.
That's the bottom of your diaphragm.
Yeah.
And I want you to breathe into your hands. And allowing your hands to softly, as you inhale, allow your hands to expand, and as you exhale, allow your hands to soften.
Exhale through nose or,
Exhale.
nose or mouth.
Ideally, if it's available to you, I want you to be breathing in and out through your nose. Now that you've connected with your breath, become aware of where you may be holding tension. Relax your forehead, relax your eyes, relax your jaw, relax your tongue into the bottom of your palate. Allow your shoulders to drop away from your ears. And now focus on breathing into your hands, keeping them underneath your belly button at the base of your belly, breathing in deeply and then exhaling slowly. And now together we are going to do 2 cycles of the box breathing exercise. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. One more. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. If you have your eyes closed, keep them closed. And I just want you to connect with your body. One of the most important lessons I ever learned was the body whispers before it screams. Most often we are so busy running at such a rapid rate that we don't even hear the whispers. We barely even hear the screams. This may be the first moment today, this week, this month, this year, that you've stopped to connect with your body. Feedback is a gift. With feedback comes choice. What is your body communicating with you right now? What does it need? How is it feeling? And are you willing to honour that need or feeling? And then gently open your eyes and come back into the room.
Oh my God, that was very powerful.
It's so powerful.
It's so simple.
We should have done this before our chat.
Yes.
That was really powerful.
So I use that exercise when I'm stressed, and it's a really quick way to calm down.
Yeah.
If I'm tired, I use a breath exercise or breathing exercise called a 2 times breath, which means inhaling for 4 seconds, holding for 4 seconds, and exhaling for 8.
I love it. I just love that. I'm like,
And then I also do
she's still doing
NLP,
we're back now.
which is neuro-linguistic programming,
Yeah, we
which
love
is
that.
utilising a variety of different techniques to essentially calm the mind and then establish very clear choice and action to create a positive outcome.
Wow.
We interviewed a woman last year, Terry Cole. She's
Psychotherapist.
we had a massive response to Terry. One of the things that resonated with me was, and Nicola definitely, was, I'm not interested in meeting any man unless he's done the work. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
And that
What
Did you find
what
one?
are you saying?
she seriously was like, no. How many years have you been doing the therapy? Might date you. So that washed over me, and I went to the universe and said, the man I need to meet has to have done the work. And guess what?
What?
The guy I've met, he's studied NLP, and he was had a huge, profound impact on him.
Well,
so
brilliant.
it's like, and I've been learning more about it.
She does Real Love Revolution as well. She does some great courses, which I've
Boundary
done.
Boss.
And I tell you different courses too. And I've signed up, and I can't wait. I think it's next week. It's coming up soon. I'm going to do one of your online courses too.
Oh, great.
Which
Yeah.
I'm really excited as well. But with the book, tell us even more about it. Like you're doing it with beautiful Tess Brower, who herself she's recovered from a spinal injury, and she's studied
Positive psychology.
Fabulous.
It's wonderful.
She's a remarkable woman.
Yeah.
Yes. So another awakening is here I was traveling the world, doing 65 talks a year, on the road around 180 days a year, talking about sustained success, and I was fucked.
We're back to the F word. Love it.
I was
From
completely
LSD.
and
so
utterly
many
burned
people
out.
can relate.
I was so exhausted, and so I felt like a hypocrite. And she said, well, let's do a stock take of your life. I went, okay. So we sat down and we put up the butcher paper, and she's like, okay, so who are you and what do you do and how often are you doing it, and let's see how sustainable it is. And I stepped back and I looked at the life that I was living. I was like, no wonder. No wonder I'm so burnt out.
Yeah.
And then she's like, okay, so what do you want to do? And I said, I'd like to write another book. And she said, well, do you have content? And I said, yes, I do. But I'm really not interested in writing a book. She's like, okay, well, then what else could you do? And I said, well, I'd really like to digitize myself. I'd like to be able to expand on the delivery that I give, because I get up on stage and I motivate and inspire people, and then I drop the mic and walk out, and there's nothing left for them to pick up and keep running with. So she's like, well, let's build a course. And that happened during COVID. I was basically, the content that I had to write a book, I was inspired by AA. I've no reason to go to AA. I don't have fortunately, I have a very healthy relationship with alcohol. And here's something that your listeners may participate in. I only drink on months that have 31 days in them.
So in my case, I'd be drinking more.
So I don't drink in February, April, June, September or November.
Wow, I've
Okay,
never heard that
wow.
before.
It's another thing I made up for myself.
random.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love how your brain works.
Yeah, so I create these little structures for myself and I stick to them, and my body really appreciates the break. And that way I maintain a healthy relationship with alcohol, but I always have had that
It's an
anyway.
off month
Yeah.
at the moment.
Off month,
Yes,
yeah.
But there
Thoroughly
was something
enjoying
from
it.
AA you took on.
The mention of AA is if there's 12 steps to sobriety,
Yeah.
surely there's 12 steps to awakening.
Oh,
So that's why I created this 12-step program, and I actually pressure tested or road tested it as a keynote with a client, and it went kind of well, but I thought there's too much here. And then I had this random dream that I'm not going to go into, but when I woke up I realised it needs to be 7. It needs to be 7 steps.
Through your dream. That's
Yeah, through a
Wow.
dream, yeah.
Yeah.
7 world
Oh,
titles.
love
Sammy,
the
you're on the pulse
correlation,
of things.
Sammy.
Yes, Sam's all over
Go
this.
girl.
Yeah.
She's riding the wave.
It's our
She's a manly
coach.
chick.
She's done the work.
Coaches us.
She's done the work.
And
She's
she's-
was dating. She's single,
She's
guys.
done the work. She
All the
teaches
guys
the
listening.
work.
She's
And
a
she's a
single bingle.
good listener.
And she's hot.
She's better than us.
So then I was about to record it. I thought I was all happy with it, about to record it, and then COVID hit, and I was and I got COVID. I actually think I was probably patient 0.
Really?
I was
Really?
so sick.
Really?
Yeah, I was so sick in January 2019 and again in January 2020. Then I rebuilt it. I recrafted it. I got to pressure test it and road test it with friends and family and just kept honing it. And then Tess got actively involved and started sharing some of her material, especially you'll see in chapter 4, I think it is, with the Fortify the Dream Team questionnaire that she did with her family after she was miraculously able to walk out of a spinal ward.
So was she
skiing accident.
Skiing accident.
Her, and she, similarly to me, just ignored the symptoms, ignored the signs, and just kept pushing on. And then she ended up in hospital, had 2 spinal cord surgeries, and ended up in a spinal ward looking at a blank wall for 4 months until I walked in with a Kiki K book that said, "Live your dreams," and handed it to her. And she's like,
Oh my God!
Oh,
"You
that
are
is
good
so-"
buddy. You
she
are, though,
basically,
really.
in her mind, she's
She'd
like,
say you're a bitch.
No,
isn't
yeah.
she?
Yeah, she
Like
would.
that.
She's
She'd be
without a
like, really,
doubt.
like
she
seriously.
literally thought, "You are so out
Yeah.
of touch."
Yeah, you've had COVID.
Like,
It's
you're
really hit your
kidding.
brain.
Yeah,
babe.
it's obviously
really,
dissolved
like,
your brain.
Live your dreams.
Speaking of health,
you
Live
know,
your
how's-
dream life.
How's your chronic fatigue, which you endured through pushing yourself through all of those?
Yes. So
Surfing.
every toolkit in this book
Yeah.
has been personally and professionally utilised by myself or Tess
Yeah.
at a time of either challenge or joy. Like it's not just a toolkit for dealing with shit. It's a toolkit for living life, for living a happier, more
Such
purposeful
a
life.
good book. So
And the
look,
li-
I've underlined it.
The
I've got
lessons you
drawings.
have got highlights. It's good to see. The lessons that I learned through chronic fatigue have been applied to this too, because as I said, the body whispers before
Yeah.
before it screams, and
Yeah.
chronic fatigue, I was whispering and screaming, and I wasn't hearing any of it, and that's why I ended up with suicidality and depression, because I was just so completely depleted. And I just wasn't listening to it. I just chose to tune out because I must win, must get there, must win, must get there. I don't have time to be sick. I don't have time to be down. I don't have time to be depressed. I've just got to keep going.
And even injuries within your body, like what was
Yes.
the injuries you were carrying? You were like oblivious to that, kept going.
Oh, yeah. So after I won my first world title, then I flipped. So I've won 7 world titles, 6 of them consecutively, 5 of them in fear and 2 of them in love. World titles number 1 and 7 are my love-based world titles because they're process-driven. They were joyful. They were fun. I honoured my emotions. I honoured my injuries. I honoured my struggles. I celebrated my achievements. I had fun with it. Then all of a sudden, I'm
Bingo.
successful, and now I'm twice as hard on myself, expecting everything to be harder. I started to believe success had to be hard, and what we believe we manifest, so success became really hard because we are constantly seeking evidence to prove ourselves right. And I was very righteous. So, as human beings, we'd rather be right than happy anyway. So I was very right, so therefore I was very happy. And when I started competing for my second world title, that's when my body, I would push myself too hard, tore my medial ligament in my right knee, had a wave that was triple ceiling height, land on the small of my lower back, fold me in half, crush my lumbar spine, paddle back out, won the contest.
Stop.
Just, every year some part of my body would break down. I just ignored it, just kept pushing through it.
It's extraordinary.
Didn't
how
Amazing
you
you're
do
still
that,
alive.
isn't it?
Yeah, well,
Really?
now
Really is.
I'm in my 50s in constant pain management. Like I have to
Okay,
have
there you go.
2 to 3 treatments
And
a
the
week.
chronic fatigue?
I know I'm susceptible to it,
Yeah.
but I manage it through.
Good girl.
I don't wait for my body to break down
Yeah.
before I do something about
Yeah.
it. A lot of
Yeah.
people wait for that silver bullet. All right, I'm screwed, I'm fucked. All right, now I need to go and see someone. They'll give me the silver bullet, or they'll give me the surgery, and everything
All
will
the
be fine.
drugs,
Or the
I'll
drugs.
be fine. The LSD, and
That-
off they
yeah.
go. No. Well, that's a healthy
That's a
way.
healthy-
They're
Okay.
Whereas now I'm
Yeah.
into.
I
now
just
I'm into
we're
prevention.
getting the wind up, but I just
Yeah.
can I just quickly say one
Sam,
thing?
you're winding us up.
I'm
oh, yeah,
sorry.
I can see why. We're not here for a while.
I'm not going to throw a massive one, but it is. But I want you to be quite succinct with the answer because I need to know.
Yeah.
We interviewed Wendy Harmer a few years ago, and,
Yes.
and the lies the mirror told me. When you look in the mirror with all of this going around you, what did the mirror say to you?
At the fear-based.
During that time of you not loving oneself and wanting to push yourself, when you'd look into a mirror,
Oh, yes.
or could you look at a mirror and
No.
see the reality of who you were?
I could look in a mirror, but I would not see the reality of who I was. I did not
Okay,
look
so
at...
it was an illusion, even the mirror.
Yeah. I would only look in the mirror to criticise or improve. I never looked in the mirror to actually truly own my own reflection. I never looked in my own eyes.
Oh, that got me. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Layne, you
Today I do.
And I'm
Yeah.
thinking mirrored shattered too. Isn't it
But
weird?
talk about doing the work.
I could
which
talk
is
to you
just-
for 4
which is
days.
just so healing.
I feel like we have.
It's also such a gift, and I really mean
And
this.
when we're off, we'll keep talking.
But I mean this from my heart too. It's and I've loved your book, and I'm doing some courses, and I'm so into what you've done, and
Thank
I
you.
really admire how you have gone through all that. Because as you say, to get out, you've got to go through it, and you went through it, and you suffered for so long, and now from your heart, you've put together this incredible life tool, which is just, it really is, it's just amazing. It is for everybody.
It is.
It's one of those things you can pick it up different times. It's really affected me.
Great.
I absolutely, sing the praises as well, but such a gift that you could actually, and with Tess, I guess, together as a team, have the skills there and put it out there for all of us to learn, because we're all students of life.
Yeah.
We all have our own journeys of stuff, but
true.
thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
And I really recommend this to
Yeah.
everybody.
And a lot of people buy these though and think I'm fine and I'm healed. Just remember, guys, we're a work in progress till we die.
I keep coming back to it. I keep coming back to
we
do
all
the
do.
work.
I studied holistic
Yeah.
counselling, and I walked out and thought, oh, yeah,
I'm
I know.
healed.
Someone turned to me and went, like your girlfriend with adopted.
Yeah.
She went, oh, no, this is
Yeah.
your beginning. I
Yeah.
said, I've studied for 3 years. Oh, no, you're just beginning now.
Just
And it
remember,
slapped me
you're
into
an onion.
reality. You
You're
know?
You're an onion,
Yeah.
and we're students
Who said
for
that?
life.
Me.
Onion. Brilliant. Love the
Wow.
layers.
Look, there's so much. We want
Oh
you
my
to
God.
I want to know so much more, but
Stop
we
me.
literally haven't
Which
got time
question
for
are we
that.
going to
but
ask? It's killing me.
I know. Well,
You go first.
okay. Because
I can,
in the
if you
book-
have two questions, I can answer them very succinctly for you.
Okay, yeah, well, you can take as long
I
as
don't
you want
know.
for this one, because it's sort of there.
Just the question
Is what makes you happy?
Laughter.
Oh, yeah. ditto.
In particular, my husband's laughter.
Oh,
that's
how
great.
beautiful.
Yeah, when his hearty laugh comes out, it's just
It's
it
addictive,
warms
isn't
my
it?
heart.
I find
Yeah.
when
He
you
makes
hear
you
someone
laugh?
laugh-
When he
It
laughs?
makes me laugh every day.
Has he got a funny
Oh,
laugh?
how
He does. He
beautiful.
has a really boisterous laugh. And speaking of boisterous laughs, my goal, my dad has dementia. He has Lewy bodies dementia.
Bless-
And my
bless
goal
him.
before he passes away is to hear his laugh one more time.
Oh, I have to share. My dad passed away.
Oh, no, you're
of-
doing it to me, Layne,
no,
now.
of Lewy
'Cause
body dementia.
my sister has dementia.
Yes, yeah.
So
and,
it's-
Shit.
it's a cruel disease, and I think some of our listeners
She
there
got it
would
young
know.
too.
Oh, really?
And
How old
my
is she?
sister has got it and too
70.
young. Yeah,
Ah,
and she's
fuck.
had it for a few
Look,
years.
I love it. I wanted her to have tears today.
Exactly.
We got it.
Yeah.
All I want to do is hug her now.
I felt like she had an agenda. You just wanted to break me.
That's right, she did. She wanted to break you.
Oh, I thought I was going to break about 16
last
times.
question.
But laughter.
The last question is, if you had the opportunity of meeting someone over the back fence,
Oh, yeah.
who would that be and why?
Oh, man. So I was thinking about this in the water all morning, thinking who would that... Because there's so many incredible people. And the one person that kept coming to mind is Jane Goodall.
Oh, wow.
Because for several reasons. Number one, what an inspiring woman who has
Absolutely.
changed just the course of humanity and our relationship with this planet. Number two, imagine the stories that you could share over the fence. I mean, you never have to say anything. You just sit and just be in awe of the lessons and the stories that she could share. And number three, she'd be away a lot, so I could have a lot of parties and not disturb.
There's the laughter.
You need lots of LSD.
And I would never disturb the neighbour.
It's so good. No, because we'd be breathing.
Or else
She's
the other-
hanging out with a
Or
chimpanzee.
I fall off the fence because I've done so much deep breathing. I'm like, ew. Oh my
Oh,
God.
Layne, you have just been such a
Just pure joy. Look,
inspiration.
you've got me too.
I know, goosebumps all over. And thank you for sharing and going back to your early days too. And, and congratulations on everything you're doing.
Thank you.
Can you tell us more? There are courses and stuff you can do as well. Aren't
Yes,
there,
so
with this?
so this book is a distilled version of the online course called Own Your Truth. So basically, when we established Own Your Truth, COVID hit, and then everyone went online. So we got kind of drowned out.
Yeah.
Then I said to Tess, how can we help people do the work? So we held people's hand through it with a 4-week virtual course, and then we distilled that into a 1-day live facilitated course with me and Tess. This book is the distillation of the course into one full day. So it's all the most impactful stuff. But you can go online and do the course at your own pace.
It speaks
There's lots
a
of
thousand
videos.
words.
And there's a resilience mindset masterclass.
We'll put everything up on the show notes.
Yeah, there's a
for
variety of
everyone.
resources and-
Thank you
Well,
for
look, I'm
giving
going to do
back.
the 1 hour one. So
great.
thank you for
Thank
giving
you.
back,
Yeah.
and to
Really.
everybody, thank you for
Yeah.
listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone.
Incredible, chat today. Send this potty to everybody who you know,
Yeah.
because it's just is, like
just
really,
gold.
absolutely gold.
You too can
So
try
thank you for
LSD.
listening, and don't forget
You're
to
addicted,
rate
aren't
and
you?
review, and don't forget the 5 stars if you feel that way. Well, I think today's one. I mean, Di likes to give her own ratings,
look,
and so we've got
Well,
Layne
Layne's-
at
to
our
me
back
it's
fence.
simple. I think Layne
really.
has to be 7 out of 5.
7 out of 5.
Like,
I agree.
seriously. Like, without a doubt.
Exactly.
Love you. And
we do
we
love you
love
too,
our
yeah.
listeners too. And we'll be in your ears again.
And we'll
next
see
week.
you out the back.